Welcome to my HQ. Today, we're talking fieldwork. Specifically, the 5 deadly mistakes in wildlife photography. Alright, let's dive in. Hi, I'm your wildlife digital guide. Today, we're going to look at the 5 mistakes most wildlife photographers make. But more importantly, how to avoid them to get better shots, disturb less, and experience truly unique moments in the field. The first mistake, and probably the most common one, is heading out into the field without properly preparing your outing. Many photographers arrive on site, simply hoping to bump into an animal. They walk for a while, see nothing, and end up returning frustrated, without understanding why. Yet, in wildlife photography, the success of a shot mostly depends on what happens before you even get there. It's often 80% scouting, and only 20% waiting and photographing. Nothing in nature happens by chance. Every species follows a real pattern: hours of activity, feeding areas, regular paths, and very specific habits depending on the season, weather, or time of day. Before every outing, I always start by studying the maps of the area. I look at potential habitats, edges, rocky zones, small sheltered valleys, and all the natural corridors that animals might use. I also identify the areas where animals could pass: a discreet stream, a quiet clearing, an old forest path, or a transition between 2 types of vegetation. These are often the places where activity is most concentrated. Then, I gather all this information in a tool where I keep my observations, landmarks, and important points of interest. At a glance, I can see where I've already spotted an animal, which areas are active, and which ones deserve a return visit. This preparation allows me to arrive in the field with a clear idea of what I'm going to do, where I'm going to walk, and most importantly, where I really have a chance to observe something. And honestly, this step represents half the work. It makes the difference between a random outing and a truly effective one. When you understand an area before stepping foot in it, your chances of observation increase enormously. The second mistake is arriving on site without having prepared your camera settings. We've all been in this situation. You finally spot an animal, and then you start changing your shutter speed, then your aperture, then your ISO, you move, you make noise, and while you're adjusting your camera, the scene disappears. Sometimes it's even worse. You realize you forgot your memory card, or your battery is almost dead. And this mistake, we all make it at the beginning. In wildlife photography, you need to be ready before even entering the area. Because in nature, anything can happen in a matter of seconds. Before you go, get into the habit of checking 3 simple things: charged batteries, a spare battery, and an inserted, empty memory card. It's basic, but it prevents the frustration of, "That was the perfect moment, and I couldn't do anything." Then, just before entering the forest or the mountains, set your shutter speed and aperture according to the current light. Personally, I leave my ISO on auto. Animals move very quickly from sunlit areas to shaded ones, and auto ISO prevents wasting time at the wrong moment. Also, remember to activate your burst mode, and if your camera allows, set it to silent mode to avoid the shutter noise that could alert animals. When all of this is ready in advance, the moment an animal appears, you can focus entirely on the scene, not your gear. It's often this small detail that makes the difference between a missed shot and a truly successful image. The third mistake is forgetting the wind. For many, it's just a detail, but for animals, it's the number 1 piece of information. If you walk with the wind at your back, you're sending your scent straight ahead and get detected, before you even see the slightest movement. You can walk like this for hours, thinking, nothing's moving today, while in reality, the animals noticed you long before. Before every approach, I always take 5 seconds. I stop, I observe, I listen, and I use a little talc to immediately see which way the wind is blowing. Sometimes, the breeze is so light you can barely feel it. But the talc instantly shows the real direction. And that's exactly what animals perceive with their incredibly developed sense of smell. It's subtle, instantaneous, and it changes absolutely everything. Walking against the wind, it multiplies your chances by 10 of spotting the animal before it spots you. And in tracking, it's literally rule number 1. If you spot an animal in the distance and you're not upwind, don't even try to approach. You'll scare it for sure. Go around widely, come back facing the wind, and only then can you attempt a quiet and respectful approach. The fourth mistake is moving too fast. It seems obvious, but it's probably one of the most common mistakes we make. We move forward without really thinking, stepping on dry leaves, snapping a branch, coughing, sneezing, basically, making noise, and scanning the landscape without really taking the time to observe it. But in nature, everything is a matter of rhythm. If you go too fast, you miss half of what's around you. When you walk, really look at your surroundings: trails to the sides, cavities in tree trunks, tracks on the ground, droppings, fur caught on branches, or even small carcasses left by a predator. Every detail tells a story. The slower you go, the more you pause, the more you listen, the more animals let you enter their world. For my part, when I spot an area that seems active, with several interesting signs, I simply note everything I see. This then allows me to get an overview on a map of the area's real potential. Over time, you start to understand which areas are active, which ones come alive depending on the season, and where it's really worth coming back. You've got it. Moving too fast is missing out. And the fifth mistake, probably the most serious, and the least respectful in my opinion, is leaving too quickly after taking your photos. You take a great shot, you're satisfied, you think it will be perfect for social media, and you get up immediately, without considering what's still happening around you. But the animal may just be getting started. In most cases, the minutes that follow are the most important for it. That's when it resumes its activity, feeding, moving, watching its surroundings, simply living its life. If you get up too quickly, move abruptly, or leave without caution, you scare it unnecessarily. You stress it out. You force it to expend precious energy. And in winter, it's even more dramatic. An animal forced to flee through the snow burns calories it may not be able to replace. Ptarmigans, for example, can literally die if they don't find the food they need during the day. That's why, in the field, we always wait for animals to leave on their own, calmly, without disturbing them. It's a simple principle, but it's the foundation of truly ethical wildlife photography. And to remember these moments, and understand how activity zones evolve, I use the Wildlife Photographer app. The tool I've been developing for several years to plan my outings, record my observations, and track how the terrain changes with the seasons. But the key remains the same: respect the animal's rhythm, and never leave before it does. So that's the 5 mistakes, and more importantly, how to avoid them. If this guide was helpful, you can simply like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share in the comments the mistakes you made when you started. It really helps the channel grow, and it allows me to create even more content to support you on your outings. See you soon, in the field.